Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Inshallah, we started Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wa salatu wa salamu ala ashraf al-anbiya al-mursaleen Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. We started Surah al-ссhiqaq, and Surah al-ссhiqaq, if you see the way that its beginning is structured, it pairs very well with two other surahs. Surah إذا السماء انشقت goes with إذا السماء فطرت, right? And if you look at the way that it actually describes the beginning, and then the way the whole surah is structured, they are in very many ways pairs. The surahs are pairs. The way that the surah begins, it describes the situation of Yawm al-Qiyamah, of the actual moment of the destruction. So it starts, إِذَا السَّمَاءُ انشَقَّتْ, when the skies are rent asunder. Inshaqat means tasadda'at wa taqatta'at, means to be cracked open, to become cracked, and to become split apart. Because in the pre-modern world, people used to look at the sky like a canopy. They used to think the sky was like a canopy. And this is actually a very interesting question that a lot of people ask, which is, we know that the sky is not a canopy. And we know that the sun doesn't rise and the sun doesn't set. It only looks like it. It only looks like the sun rises and the sun sets. Realistically, it's the earth that's going around the sun. And the sky is not a canopy, right? Even if it looks like a canopy, it is just, it's a series of things that makes it look like it, but there's no canopy around the earth. So then why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describe things as the sunrise and the sunset, the stars rising and the stars setting? Why are the descriptions of the sama like a canopy, like a covering over the earth? And there's a very important rule about reading the Quran. That is, Quran is a book of hidayah. Quran is a book of hidayah. Quran is not a book of science. There is science in the Quran. The Quran is not a book of science. There are facts in the Quran. The Quran is not a book of facts. The Quran is primarily a book of what? Book of hidayah. That's why, I mean, there's some things for the Ahnaf, for example, they say mafhum al-khalafa is not in the Quran because it's a book of hidayah. What that means is that when the Quran speaks, when the Quran gives an image to someone, it's not an image describing scientific fact. It is an image that is trying to guide people towards a certain end. So what that means is the sky will appear to crack. The sky will appear to break apart. That doesn't mean that the Quran is saying that the sky is actually covering over the earth that is going to crack like an eggshell. This is a very important thing, because this can create doubts in a lot of people's minds. When you read the Quran like a book of science, it can create a lot of doubts in people's minds. And then you can become very confused very quickly. But the way that the surah goes, it describes in Surah al-ссhiqaq, there's two major descriptions of things that happen the day of judgment. The first is that the sky breaks apart and cracks. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِذَا السَّمَاءُ انشَقَّتْ وَأَذِنَتْ لِرَبِّهَا وَحُقَّتْ. And it obeys its Lord. It listens to Allah. And adina is an interesting word in Arabic, because there are certain words in Arabic that can mean one thing and its opposite at the same time. Adina is one of those words. Right? Allah Ta'ala says, Afallahu anka lima adhinta lahum. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He let it go when you gave them permission. This is the same word, adina. But in this ayah, adina means to obey. Adina can mean at the same time to obey and to give permission in the same word. But this is, it obeys its Allah. It obeys Allah. Now, why is it Allah Ta'ala saying that the sky obeys Allah? Then the next is, وَإِذَا الْأَرْضُ مُدَّتْ. That when the earth is spread out, it's flattened, meaning that all of the mountains, all of the hills, all of the valleys, it's almost as if the earth is going to be pulled. And everything will be flattened out. وَأَلْقَتْ مَا فِيهَا وَتَخَلَّتْ. And it throws out whatever is inside of it, meaning from people. Whatever's inside the earth of people, it throws it out. And it becomes empty. It becomes empty of bodies. All the bodies have been thrown out to the top of the earth that has been flattened. Meaning what? That everybody has a place to stand. Everybody has a place to stand at this time. And then again, وَأَذِنَتْ لِرَبِّهَا وَحَقَّةٍ. It obeys its Allah. It obeys its Lord. Why is this ayah repeated twice? وَأَذِنَتْ لِرَبِّهَا وَحَقَّةٍ. That it obeys its Lord. يَا أَيُّهَا الْإِنسَانُ إِنَّكَ كَادِحٌ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ كَدْحًا فَمُلَاقِيهِ. Because it then immediately switches to whom? Insan. Immediately switches to human beings. And it's as if Allah is saying, the sky obeys Allah. And the earth obeys Allah. And in this day, you may not obey Allah. But there will come a time where I tell you to stand, and you will have no option but to obey Allah. Because in our everydays, right, we are given this option. In the dunya, we are given the option of obeying Allah or not obeying Allah. But when the time comes, there will be no option except to obey Allah. And that obedience will be of the earth and the sky. That obedience will be of the mountains and the valleys. And that obedience will also be of the parts of the body of the human being. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Fussilat that they will testify against us. Our own body will testify against us. Nothing on that day will have the ability to disobey Allah. Even us who have been given free will, that day, there's nothing. Nothing but obedience to Allah. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَا أَيُّهَا الْإِنسَانِ إِنَّكَ كَادِحٌ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ كَدْحًا فَمُلَاقِيهِ. Very powerful ayah. Oh human beings, oh people. And there's a difference between Ya Ayyuhan Nas and Ya Ayyuhal Insan. It's a very interesting difference. I'm kind of over time, so I'm just going to speed it up a little bit, inshallah. But you are struggling, you are striving towards Allah. This is such a powerful reminder. Because sometimes we go through our life and we forget that everything in the end is going to Allah. Whether we want it to or not want it to, it's going to Allah. Sometimes we think that we are not doing something, that we are doing something, and that it's in this dunya. But everything in this dunya is going to Allah. So in the end, every amal we have is going to Allah. It's going towards Allah, whether we want it to or not. And in this, there's such a powerful reminder. And I'm reminded of the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, where somebody brought a lamb to the house of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam to distribute for as a gift. And so Aisha radiallahu anha gave all of it away, except for what? The shoulder piece. The shoulder piece of the lamb. And when the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he came back to Aisha radiallahu anha, he said, "What is it? What is with the lamb?" She said, "Somebody came to give a lamb, and I gave all of it away except for the shoulder piece." And the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he flipped the whole thing on its head to Aisha radiallahu anha. He said, "You kept all of it except for the shoulder piece." Because in the end, right, all of our amal are being sent to Allah. But the only ones that are kept with us are the ones that were done for Allah. The only ones that we keep with us are the ones that we did for the sake of Allah. Everything else is a momentary experience in this dunya that once it's over, it's over. You can think of it like eating a bag of potato chips. You eat a bag of potato chips, you reach the end of the bag of potato chips, there's nothing left. There's nothing left of the potato chips. You had the momentary sensation, the experience of the eating of the potato chips, and when it's over, it's over. There's no potato chips left. The dunya is like a bag of potato chips. The dunya is like a bag of potato chips. You eat one, you eat the next, you eat the next, you eat the next. You reach the end, there's nothing left. It's all gone. Except for what? Except for that which was done for the sake of Allah. That is kept with you. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ فَسَوْفَ يُحَاسَبُ حِسَابًا يَسِيرًا. The one who is given his book in his right hand, he will have an easy hisab. He'll have an easy account. وَيَنْقَلِبُ إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِ مَسْرُورًا. And he will go towards his ahl. Ahl here literally means family, but it means more like his people. Because some of us, right, some of the Sahaba, their family didn't make it. Their family didn't make it. So ahl here means more like people. He will return to his people joyfully. وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ وَرَاءَ ظَهْرِهِ. And as for the one who is given his book behind his back. Right, there's one who's given it in his right, and in other places Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that it's given in his left. So how do we join between these two? So one description says in his left hand, the other description says it's behind his back. And the Mufassirin, they say that the way you join between this is that the right hand of the Zalimin is stuck to their neck. And their left hand is placed behind their back. And then the book comes to the left hand behind their back. وراء ظهره. فسوف يحاسب حساب يسير وينقلب إلى أهله مسرورا وما أوتي كتابه وراء ظهره فسوف يدعو ثبورا. He will call for his own destruction. The person who receives his book behind his back will call for his own destruction. Can you imagine being in so much distress that you would rather not exist than to see what comes next? And this is repeated continuously in the Quran. إِنَّهُ كَانَ فِي أَهْلِهِ مَسْرُورًا. And this is a motif that's in Surah Mutaffifin as well. That the mu'mineen on that day, they will be joyful. And the mujrimeen, the zalimeen, they were the ones who used to be joyful. They used to be joyful. Why? Because they thought their power, their wealth, their knowledge, their prestige, their status, their materials, their houses, their cars, they thought that was going to be for them in this dunya. And either there's no akhirah or that was going to be for them in the akhirah. And so they were joyful in the dunya. But in the akhirah, the only one who was joyful is the one who knew he was going to return to Allah. And he prepared for his return to Allah. إِنَّهُ ظَنَّ أَن لَّن يَحُورَ. This mujrim, this zalim, this fasiq, this fasid, he thought that he was never going to return. He thought he was never going to return. Bala, no, indeed he will return. Bala, indeed he will return. Inna rabbahu kana bihi basira. That his Lord, Allah, was always watching over him. And we'll end with this, inshallah. The root of all evil, the root of all evil is the belief that you will not return to Allah. The root of all evil is the belief that what happens in the dunya stays in the dunya. Because if you think that what happens in the dunya stays in the dunya, then the answer, the question in your mind is, do I get away with it in dunya or not? This is the only thing that matters in your mind. Do I get away with it or not? If I get away with it, I've gotten away with it. Scot-free. I'm done. I cheat, I steal, I lie, I do whatever. If I get away with it, I get away with it. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bala, no, you will return. You will return. And through the entire process, Allah was watching you. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Ibrahim, لا تحسبن الله غافلا عما يعمل الظالمون. Don't think that Allah doesn't know, is heedless, is unaware of what the zalimin do. And so, this is the lasting and sincere advice to all of us, is when we are in a situation where the question in our mind is anyone going to catch me? Is anyone going to stop me? Is anyone going to know? Is anyone going to find out? Look up. Look up, look inside. Look to your right, look to your left. And know you can get away with it in dunya. You can run away from accountability in dunya. There is no running from Allah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who are continuously aware of Him. Make us of those who are not trying to escape others, but are finding refuge in Allah. And make us of those who, when they are faced with decisions, their only question is what pleases Allah, what does not please Allah. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تجعل فينا ولا منا ولا بيننا شقيا ولا محروما سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله العالمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.